beautiful. Are you going to edit this and bring in a couple of images later on, try to make it a little bit more palatable?
Yeah, we could do that. I could hook up the recipe.
I watched some of those videos by the guy, the Weasel. I think that we could do way better.
I hope Weasel just heard that, because we're recording live from Orlando, Florida. It's the MMA guys.
It's Ray and the MMA guys.
Live from Orlando, Florida. It's Ray and the MMA guys.
Actually, we're coming to you live from the Jersey Shore. It's Ray and the MMA guys.
All across the East Coast.
Mostly in New Jersey.
Mostly in New Jersey. So,
tell me when you're ready, Jerry.
Ray, we are ready, buddy. Let's take it away. So, something you guys may have heard, I'm going to do a little intro. Some of you all who have been following the news, especially with the McGregor Mayweather camp, have been hearing a lot about this guy, Paulie Malignaggi. Thankfully, I didn't screw that name up too well. And lately he's been in the news a lot because he left the McGregor camp and not on the best of terms. Now, coming to you from Jersey. Now, coming to you in living audio is Ray, who I called Ray up and I was like, dude, we need to get your 2 cents on this. So, for beginners, who is Paulie Malignaggi? Second, what is the situation with the Mayweather-McGregor camp? And 3, basically everything else that needs to be said. So, Ray, on that first part, if I'm somebody who knows nothing about this Paulie Malignaggi guy, who is he?
All right, let's get right into it. Paulie Malignaggi is a regional star. Up here in New Jersey, he was typically headlining cards at Caesar's Palace in Atlantic City. Antonio Tarver was the guy who was down south out of Arkansas, Jermaine Taylor. Down in Florida, you had Roy Jones Jr. Boxing, not unlike the UFC, stars can be regional. So I'm telling you right now, being a New York City kid, Paulignaggi is a star. He's a guy that sold out the Garden, sold out Caesar's Palace in Atlantic City. And I tell you what, too, a guy that can box, man. He's very, very much a la Floyd Mayweather. He's a volume puncher. He comes at you with tremendous speed, comes at you from different angles, and he's not a guy that's really going to put one on the chin and turn the lights off in one punch. But he is a guy that can overwhelm you with volume. And he's a guy that's been in the game for about 15, 20 years.
Okay.
So, with that being said, allow me to just segue real quick. Can we all agree that McGregor Mayweather is starting to resemble the WWE a little bit?
Yeah, you can safely make that assumption.
Anything that happens to generate buzz, to generate headlines, I'm going to hold suspect. I would not be terribly surprised if this was something contrived by both camps just to... You can only hold the headlines for so long.
Okay.
You know, long-rangey southpaw from Ireland, first boxing match fighting the greatest defensive boxer of all time. We can only have that headline for so often. So what do? Now we're generating buzz with Paulie Malignaggi.
Okay.
That's how you pronounce his name, by the way.
Paulie Malignaggi. Yeah. That is how
and I think everybody out there that's sparred before, man, everybody's been clipped during sparring. Typically, the rule of the fight game is what happens in the gym stays in the gym. Unless it's a funny story, guys might want to, tell a tale or two.
Right.
Kind of relieving a still frame. I got to be honest with you, it doesn't really hold my attention. I'm actually surprised that it warranted an hour on the MMA Hour today with Ariel Helwani.
Yeah, getting to that.
Remember Allen Iverson? Practice. We talk about practice. That's what sparring is. Okay,
well... That's actually a really good point, and kind of the next thing we're going to segue into. I'm pulling up. I've got his Wikipedia up, but at the same time, Ray, the picture in question is the one of him getting pushed down. But him being on, did you hear him on the MMA Hour? He talked at length.
I did.
He talked at length about the whole experience. About so he joins a camp. He's put up in what he called basically a crack house. Basically, they didn't really spend a lot of money on their lodgings. And then was pretty much kind of like bullied a little bit in the sparring
let's
session.
unpack that one real quick. First of all,
Please.
I guarantee you Conor's not the guy that's setting up arrangements for his sparring partners. He's doing a worldwide press media tour. He has a manager, he has an agent, and he has an assistant. I can almost with 100% certainty guarantee you that he had little to nothing to do with the lodging and accommodations of his sparring partners.
Okay, so that
You know what
explains.
I'm saying? So like, and we can lend that to anything. Like, as someone who worked at the UFC, you really think Dana White has a lot of dealings with the cafeteria staff at the UFC headquarters?
Hell no. Probably never talks to
Right.
him.
So these guys come in. Conor's only job is to market the hell out of this fight, try to learn as much about boxing in 2.5 months as he possibly can, and show up on fight night in shape, ready to go 12 rounds. So whoever his sparring partners are that he brought in, first of all, Paul Malignaggi he's a famous boxer, man. There are guys like Herman Cintron, Costa Azul, Jermaine Taylor, there are guys who outside of the world of legitimate boxing fans nobody would ever hear of. Our moms have no idea who Paul Malignaggi is, and now they do. He might have utilized this as an opportunity to make a name in combat sports, and now that might warrant him doing a little more commentary, making a few more bucks off a name that has since become relatively obscure.
Okay, good point. I really didn't know who the hell the guy was. Just that he was a great boxer, and basically what you just described. So these pictures. So Conor's been releasing tons of pictures about his camp. Is this where you would probably take this conversation next? Because the next thing he's going to be talking about is about he didn't knock me down, he pushed me. He has his own private photographers that release the photos that he wants the world to see. And you don't know what really happened in the camp. He doesn't train with, Malignaggi was talking about how he wasn't rotating sparring partners and that he was making him go 12 rounds, getting right off the plane. And that basically that the photos were in poor taste, that he felt like they were making him look bad and that he was trying to do Conor a favor. So any of those you want to tackle first?
Well, right now, saying that he knocked down Paul Malignaggi, the biggest problem we're facing now is getting Conor McGregor's name to have credibility in the limited combat sport that we call boxing.
Well, it's not that he said he knocked him down, but there's this photo of it looking like him knocking him down. Do you know if he actually said he knocked him down?
No, I think he posted the picture with no text originally on Instagram.
Right. Okay, it's not on his Twitter.
And the fact that media journalist outlets are referencing social media photos with no context, like that's how desperate we are for headlines. I can't wait for Jones and Lesnar. Just to see the stuff that they drum up on social media.
Okay.
So I don't think I guess like in summation, what I'm telling you right now is these guys they're going to box in about 3 weeks. They're going to step into the ring. If Conor's competitive and is just outclassed, Paulie might be looking for an opportunity to fight Conor. How does that sound?
Were they not in talks about that?
No, he's fighting Floyd Mayweather.
Well, yeah, but
trying to fight Khabib or George St. Pierre afterwards. I
don't know, man. Actually, I thought during the talk with Ariel Helwani, actually, I thought he said something to the effect of him trying to arrange something with Conor. I may be mistaken. I need to check my facts. So, but no,
right.
Obviously
Everybody
no.
wants to fight Conor. When you fight Conor, it's red panty night. He makes you famous. He makes you wealthy.
Okay. All right. So,
Conor's selling this fight, not Floyd Mayweather.
Okay. So what about? Damn. Do I have a call coming in? All right. Ignore. Hold on.
Say that one more time.
I said ignore. No, I had a little call coming in and beeped. Okay. So, what about having? I mean, Malignaggi wouldn't shut up. So do you really think that this is like a PR stunt? Or do you think this? Can you really?
I think it's one of two things. I think it's a PR stunt for the McGregor Camp just to get the name in the headlines to generate a few more 100,000 pay-per-view buys, just to keep it in the front of people's minds because the press conference has kind of fizzled out.
Okay.
And there's not a lot of headlines to write about this fight. It's starting to lose a little bit of traction. So what do? We synthetically drum up some story to kind of get it back on the front page of MMA Junkie, MMA Heat, Karen Bryant, Tommy Toll.
Do you think that? Or?
No, you go ahead.
Do you think that they used him to do that? So basically, Malignaggi's not in on it, but he was kind of they used this to do that without him knowing. They're basically kind of pulling a prank. They're capitalizing on the fact that he genuinely.
If they did that, I think it was in poor taste. I think Conor's got he's got a way about him about ruffle and feathers.
That's what Malignaggi said, was that he had no respect for him anymore, that he was a douchebag, that he was a dickhead, that he was talking shit after their sparring session, and he was going to the shower, and he was like, man, I thought this guy was kind of cool. I thought it was like kind of all an act, and here he is, you know, putting his hands up, saying he got a few good ones in and everything. Like,
right. It sounds a lot to me like Paul Malignaggi is trying to create a beef that the fans are going to clamor to see him and Conor fight. It's kind of like, remember when we saw that photo of GSP and Anderson Silva like in the ring sparring, and we never got to see the video?
No.
Yeah, about maybe 4 years ago, there was a black and white photo, and it was kind of like Rocky and Apollo in the gym. They're like, who won that third fight? And you saw George St. Pierre and Anderson Silva, a black and white photo. It might have been a black house. I don't know where it was. And I remember people just wanted to see that. And you can't pay Anderson to say anything bad about George. You can't pay George to say anything bad about Anderson. Right now, all we saw is Paul Malignaggi on the floor. It's he said, she said, and now he's character assassinated Conor, saying all sorts of things about him. And rightfully so. You know, for a guy that's been retired in boxing, he has a pretty good career in commentating. This would be his only cash grab. Would be to box a guy that's probably going to wind up losing to Floyd Mayweather. And again, when they box, Conor's not under the rule of the UFC.
Oh, okay. So there'd be a big...
Are you familiar with the Ali Act?
I've heard about it, yeah. Elaborate for us.
I'm not an expert on this by any means, so if I'm wrong, you know, please feel free to correct me in the comments. But if you're a boxer and your contract is for boxing, you know some of the UFC guys have gone over to Eddie Morris, or the Eddie Bravo Invitational, or the ABCCs?
Yeah.
It's because it's jiu-jitsu. It's not mixed martial arts. Your contract is typically exclusive to the sport that you currently reside in. Okay. So if Jose Aldo really wanted to be a professional soccer player, he wouldn't have to buy out his UFC contract. It's a different sport. So Ali, I think he did a mixed martial arts expo against somebody, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
and he was able to sidestep his exclusive agreement with his management company to compete in a different sport. So
yeah, it was a wrestler. Yeah, it was
Conor,
a wrestler.
The UFC owns all their fighters. They're under contract with the UFC. Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, they're their own entity. They can decide to go fight in the IBC, the WBC, the IBF, the WB. It doesn't make a difference. They'll choose someone that has a belt, and people don't care about the organization, they care about the fight. And I do think that eventually we're going to see mixed martial arts get there.
Get to where? To
where you might see the Bellator middleweight champ of the world fighting, you know, Luke Rockhold or Jacare Souza or Damian Maia.
That would be cool. That would be really cool.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that people don't care about the organization. They care about the matchups.
Right. So,
can you imagine if Rory McDonald wins the 170 belt and he defends it 3 or 4 times, and then him and T-Rod, they get back in there like UFC versus Bellator, Madison Square Garden? That's what we see in boxing. There's no one in boxing that's not allowed to fight one another, and I think that's the way that mixed martial arts is inevitably going to end up.
That would be really cool. I would actually definitely pay to see that. All right, we're about 6:13. I got to jet out about 6:30. What were some of the other comments? Okay. Paulie Malignaggi was also saying that he took their first offer. He wasn't really asking for a lot because he was trying to help out Conor. Do you think that also was something that he did on his part in order to, he was more about getting into the camp, not so much about the money, because he knew what being in the camp would do for him?
I would say so.
Okay.
Like, again, Paul Malignaggi is now on the tips of tongues of MMA fans everywhere, who 4 or 5 weeks ago probably had no idea who Paul Malignaggi was. Nope,
and now we're doing a special podcast about him and piggybacking off of him and his popularity in the news right now, aren't we?
Exactly. You know, I can start talking about guys like Oleg Moskayev and Costa Azul, Kermit Cintron, Carlos Valdemir. These are all names that, to a legitimate boxing fan, they're basically commonplace. But to the casual fan, which is where the real money comes from, you know, how do we get the guy that usually watches NASCAR, NFL to shell out $69 for a pay-per-view on a Saturday night? You have to get it out there in the mainstream. And the only people in boxing who have been able to do that are Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder are two of the most exciting boxers to watch Gennady Golovkin, same thing. Canelo Alvarez, same thing. But most people out there in the ether that are casual sports fans don't know these guys, but they know Conor. They know Ronda. They know Brock Lesnar. And I do think that John Jones is about to retake his throne as the biggest pay-per-view draw in the world.
All right, Ray. Any other predictions? Any other predictions like for
mainstay of the Conor Camp? Great. If not, now anytime he comes on a podcast or he goes to commentate, they say, "Oh, that's the guy from Conor McGregor's camp." Even though he has cemented his own career, he's an excellent boxer.
I wonder. He is. I got his Wikipedia up, dude. He's 44. He's 36 and he's 36 and 8. 7 wins by KO. From Bensonhurst. Then we're from. Wait, who else?
Bensonhurst is in Brooklyn. That's my hometown.
Wow. You heard it here, folks. He said it. And I've known Ray for a while. His hometown is Bensonhurst. Dude, so having a record like that and being from New York is no joke, is it?
That is, like I said, man, he's a regional star. He's a Northeast draw. When Frank Edgar fights in Jersey, everybody comes out. When Nate Diaz and Uriah Faber fight out there on the West Coast, everybody loves him on the West Coast. But then you have those occasional crossover stars. Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey, Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, like name your Tom Brady. You know, Tom Brady was the #1 selling jersey in like 23 different states. It's crazy. So that's what Paulie was able to do right now for a guy that. When's the last time he fought?
Let's see here. Last time Paulie Malignaggi fought was in Malignaggi versus Eggington, right? January 25th, 2017. And it was announced that they would fight. That came to an end when Eggington landed a body shot on Malignaggi, causing him pain. This followed with a shot right to the head. At the time of the stoppage, Malignaggi was ahead of 2 of the judges' scorecards. Malignaggi said he would be retiring with this being his last fight. So, Eggington, is that correct?
Right. So, like I said, this is a guy who has since retired and now is more in the headlines than he's ever been, even when he was a champion. It's crazy.
Huh. A little side note, by the way, Ray. I am on MMA Fighting. Or I'm sorry, their YouTube channel, right? The little bit about Pat Barry's addiction got 4,700 views about 4 hours ago. A Monday Morning Analyst with Luke Thomas, 8,100 views about a day ago. Luke Rockhold responding to Yo Romero, 14,000 views a day ago. Paulie Malignaggi details Conor McGregor's sparring experience. 250,875 views. It was released 23 hours ago. The next highest viewed video that they have from this week is 65,000. So 65,000 to 250,000. It would be a safe bet that he's a huge trend.
Yeah. Well, there we go. We have it.
It's benefiting the
marketing genius. It's a cash grab. It sets up a potential fight that'll probably net both fighters, 8 figures. Excuse me. And if not, it's just a great way to generate headlines and keep people's names in the mix. August 26th.
We'll be here. We will have Ray on in some form or another, I'm sure, right, Ray?
Absolutely. I'm out. See you later, Jerry.
See you later, Ray. Bye, fight fans.
All right, bye.